Hey guys, so yeah, putting aside any prophetic dreams, which hundreds of thousands of people around the world are receiving, warning of a coming of World War III coming, which I leaving aside any dreams I may or may not have been having which pertain to that, which I cannot speak to for reasons I've talked about lately. I do believe, based on just the current trajectory and course of events in geopolitics and world affairs, with the war in Ukraine, that ignoring all dreams, it's pretty clear and apparent that we're heading into World War III now anyway. I think you'd have to be if you're observant, you should be seeing that by now. But the body of prophetic dream evidence from people all around the world just backs it up. It even fits into cycles of time and history. There's a book called The Fourth Turning by Strauss and Howe, and they analyzed these cycles of history, and they predicted a crisis at the end of at this period, and a possible World War III between 2025 and 2028, and it matches the cycle. The Anglo Saxon world goes through a massive war about every 80 years. For example, if you look at the American Civil War, and there was 80 years after that, the next big one was World War II. And now it's 80 years after the end of World War II, so we're right on schedule. And just to I've got some chooks around me. Beautiful farm, New Zealand rural scene here. To get some deeper historical context, which actually this is really deep time, it's the temporal, that is time, version of the 35,000 foot macro view, that's space analogy I use often here. So the 35,000 foot view, is you're above the clouds, you're seeing the entire planet, you can see the big picture of what's going on Earth. Well, doing that for time, with what's happening now between Russia and the West and NATO, it's not Russia versus Ukraine, it's Russia versus NATO supplied, equipped and trained by Ukraine. It's Russia versus the West in a proxy war. Well, it's a proxy war for now, but it's not going to be for much longer. I really don't think. I think Russia is going to be coming into direct confrontation with NATO. And if you want to understand the deep time context of it and these cycles of history, there's an old quote: history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme, which refers to the fact that we go through these cycles. Click on the link below in the description box. This is video called Russia and Rome by this, it's created by this guy Daniel. He's a Christian guy, young Christian guy from Brazil. It's really well done. I would say it's a bit of a masterpiece, to be honest, and also just the insights he's had. And it helps you to understand what's going on now with this war from a kind of a political and both a spiritual perspective, and it's well researched. It's really, really good. This is a really helpful perspective. He basically draws the parallels between the struggle between Rome and Carthage, which was over 2,000 years ago, and that between Russia and the West right now. And I also have a friend named Brian from Seattle who I met in Vilcabamba when I was in Ecuador, who described this conflict. He looked at it as a Roman civil war between the Western Roman Empire, the Catholics, and the Eastern Roman Empire, which is the Orthodox. So the Roman Catholic Christians and the Orthodox Christians, yeah. And that's another way you could look at it. That's another perspective, the two Romes. And as he put it, in the West, we've gone so far and so crazy that people are destroying their own bodies because they're so free. They're self-mutilating and castrating themselves, and they've taken freedom way too far. Whereas the state is kind of encouraging people to destroy their bodies and their souls. Whereas in Russia, in terms of not taking sides, but toxicity right now, I would say Russia as a society is the lesser of two evils right now. I think that will change in the future. But yeah, in Russia you've got people who are, it's authoritarian and it's strict, so it's really conformist. So that's the, like, yeah, it's the opposite. You have to fit, you have to change yourself to fit into the, like, what the state dictates. But so that's another perspective on it, a Roman civil war. But yeah, it's true, like these things do have roots that go back centuries, even thousands of years to an extent. And in any case, the Rome versus Carthage analogy for Russia versus the West is really helpful to understand this conflict. So yeah, I highly recommend that video. I've put a link, as I said, in the description box below. Go check it out. I really recommend it. It's good to do a bit of research and learn about this stuff, because you know, putting it, like, ignoring prophetic dreams for a moment, putting that aside, I 100% believe we're actually in World War III already. People just don't know it. And, you know, people have been shown in prophetic dreams, those who have had them, that it will go for 20 years. So, I mean, this is going to be the major thing that everyone globally is going to be dealing with for the next 20 years. So you want to understand it. Thanks.